Hi, this is Rod Saunders from Jew and Greek. In previous videos on Colin Miller, I showed how his research is flimsy and his justification for doing what he does isn't sound. Well, since then, Colin has crossed the line from ineptitude to deception. In a recent video on Creflo, his video title says, Creflo says he is God, and the thumbnail shows Creflo's image with the words, I am God displayed. Of course, Creflo said no such thing. As most people who follow these issues know, some televangelists in the Word of Faith movement have made the claim that we are gods. Sometimes they're referring to mankind in general being little gods because God created us in His image as spiritual beings. And other times they're referring to Christians being little gods because we've been made partakers of the divine nature and we're united with Christ by faith. But none of them have ever communicated that we have ex nihilo creative powers or that we possess any of God's divine attributes like omniscience, omnipotence, or omnipresence. They're not teaching the polytheism of Mormonism. They're just teaching an arguably extremist view on the Imago Dei, or the image of God. Now, I did a video on little gods a couple of years ago where I covered what church fathers have stated about deification, as well as what more recent theologians have said. I've linked to it in the description. You see, the meaning of Imago Dei has been debated throughout church history, but these discernment guys don't usually want to acknowledge that. In the Old Testament, there are several different words used for God. Among them are Yahweh and Elohim. Yahweh, of course, is the covenant name Israel used for God, but Elohim includes the angelic realm. Now, Psalm 8:5 and Hebrews 2:7 tell us that man was created a little lower than the angels. So that would mean that man is kind of a subset of God in the sense of Elohim. Man is a spiritual being, unlike the rest of God's creation. God breathed into man the breath of life. That means that God put something of himself into man. That wasn't the case with the rest of God's creation. Dogs, birds, fish, insects, plants, none of them are spiritual beings. They don't have the capacity for comprehending truth and morality, or of exercising faith or fellowshipping with God, nor do they possess the creative ability that man has. Man can compose symphonies and paint masterpieces. He can write software and design incredible architecture. Man can build a high-powered telescope and camera and mount them on a spacecraft that travels to interstellar space to take photos of the universe. About the closest thing you'll find of that in the animal world is a beaver building a dam or a monkey using a rock to crack open a coconut. Now, in his sermon, Creflo said that we're God's little g because we came from God.
You are God's little g. You are God's because you came from God and you are God.
He didn't mean that we have no accountability to our Creator God or that we possess His attributes or abilities. He was referring to the Imago Dei. Now, I think it's a bad idea to use the word gods in reference to the Imago Dei because it's so easily misconstrued. But let's make it clear that Creflo never said that he is God, and Colin Miller's title and thumbnail are dishonest. In his video, he's more honest. He tells you what Creflo actually said, but that's not consistent with his thumbnail and title that he used to get people to click. Also, Colin doesn't tell you that the clip was almost 20 years old. From the late 80s to the early 2000s, several televangelists taught the little gods doctrine. Benny Hinn taught it, but he renounced it back in 1993. Joyce Meyer also taught it, but she's backed away from it in the 20th century, along with other controversial doctrines. I'm guessing that Creflo has moved away from it as well, since the last time I see any evidence that he said it was in 2004. But even if he is still teaching it, he has never said that he is God. This just reinforces my stated belief that discernment ministries cut ethical corners in an effort to get views and subscribers. As I've stated many times, you don't defend the truth by spreading lies. Thanks for watching, and be blessed.